Hi guys, my name is Karthik and I'm from executeautomation.com and welcome to part 5 of our Cucumber with Selenium video series. And in this video, I'll be talking about working with scenarios. And once again, this video series is actually split into two sections. Section 1, which is going to deal completely with Cucumber, and Section 2, which will deal with Cucumber and Selenium. Alright, so before watching this part, I would request you to watch part 3 and 4 since this part is going to be a complete continuation of that part. Let's all help to save tree, water and energy to save our motherly nature Earth. Please help to save that because we are running out of resources right now. Cucumber scenarios. So we have already created a scenario something like this, but with some exception here and there. But it's pretty much close to the one which you are seeing in the screenshot. And in this video, we are actually going to start creating our scenarios step definition implementation and see how things works. So for that, I'm going to flip to IntelliJ. So in our last video, we created a feature file, something like this. So let me increase the font. All right. And I'm going to implement this particular step definitions much like an executable. So right now, what if I try to execute this particular feature file and see how things works? So I'm just going to right click. As a normal Java program, if you have already worked with Java, you can see that we will go to the main and we wrote a very simple hello world program, right? So for that, we just executed this main Java file by just clicking this and it executed, right? So how to execute the feature file? If you just click this, it will execute the main. But if you click this drop down, you will see nothing here. And the reason is because the feature file is not yet recognized. So you can go to the edit configuration and here there is something called as cucumber.java. So you can actually try to glue your step definitions along with the feature, which we will be discussing a lot greater detail in our upcoming videos of this particular video series. But for now, just be informed that there is an option, something right here. So I'm just going to right click and there is something called run scenario login with correct username and password. So now the IntelliJ is pretty much intelligent enough to tell us that it is ready to execute this particular scenario. What if I run this and see what is going to happen? So I'm just going to run this. So currently it is executing the test for us and it is asking me to unblock the firewall. Of course, I'm going to allow the access. And you can see that it is throwing us some error here. And it says that undefined step, given I navigate to the login page, undefined step, and I enter username and password as admin. So all these steps are being undefined. So there are one scenario executed and 4 steps for undefined, and it took some 0 millisecond, which is so crazy. And if I go to the login step, you can see the reason is because we need to map or glue the features steps from this particular file to this particular step definitions file available in the login step.java, right? So the gluing can be done by going to the edit configuration of this particular feature file, which is actually available over here. If you just click this drop down, you can see there is something called as edit configuration. If I go over here, you can see that there is a Cucumber Java and there is a scenario name, all those things. And we need to glue with the step file. Actually, we have to do some kind of work here. As we can see, the feature file is sitting in the source folder and the steps is sitting in the test folder under Java. So I'm just going to change this a little bit. So instead of putting inside the Java folder, I'm going to create a package. Let's call this as steps. I'm going to put this login step and I'm going to refactor that, right? So it has automatically added the package steps here. And then I'm also going to pull the feature from the source to the Java folder, which is under the test, right? So now within this test folder, we have the feature and the steps available right here instead of messing up something like this, because we're not going to deal with the main class anymore, right? So this is the another change. And the final change we're going to do is the edit configuration. So you can see there is something called as glue, and if you click this, there will be a empty text box in here. So what does this glue mean? Basically, it says that I want to map all the steps available from the steps folder or the directory or the package, and then I'm gonna hit OK, right? And now it has gelled or glued the steps of this login.feature to the login steps.java file, right? And what is happening actually, since in SpecFlow there will be a code behind file which actually maps the methods of a different class using the reflections concept of .NET framework, it actually works. But in Java, there is no code behind file for this particular feature file. It's kind of plain text file basically. So it cannot map by itself, and that's why we need to glue that, right? So that's why we have glued it right here. And now if I try to run this particular scenario, you can see that this time it has executed without any problem, right? So it has executed one scenario and 4 steps and it got. And that's what is happening. You need to glue the feature file along with the step file from this particular edit configuration. But you can do this operation programmatically without doing that in this particular edit configuration by means of @runWith attribute that we discussed in our slide. So we will discuss about that as well while we start working with advanced concept of Cucumber. So now let's do one more thing before we finish off this particular video. So I am going to just go to the implementation by going right here to the go to implementations or Control-Alt-B. So Control-Alt-B, and we end up right here. And then I'm just going to type a very simple command like system.out.print, and I'm going to see if the printing operation is going to happen or not. So I'm going to say print ln of I should see user form page. So I can just type something like this. So I'm just going to type all the method name or the step name right here. So print ln right. So I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to save it. And now if I try to run that particular feature once again, you can see that those steps will be executed and it will also be printed right here. I navigate to the application, navigate to the login page, enter username and password, click login button, right? So it printed everything and I should see the user form. So this is how you can print whatever value that you have typed or passed into those methods, right? Maybe I missed something. I'm also going to do one more thing. So you can see that, and I enter username as admin. So I'm just going to try to pass this as a parameter here, admin, and the password as admin. And I'm just going to create this particular step definition once again in the login step, right? You can see that this time I have got regular expression here, and you can see it is automatically creating as some kind of parameters or arguments in here. So it says username, the first parameter is actually username, and the second parameter is actually password. I can save it, and I'm just going to get rid of the first step, the orphan step, which is not required yet. So I'm just going to remove it. And now if I go to the login feature, you can see that this color is kind of highlighted. Increase font size, right? So which means it is going to be act as a parameter. So I am going to do is I'm just going to print out those values and see how things works. So I'm just going to Control-Alt-B, and here let's say if I want to print that value, system.out.print ln of, I'm just going to say username is username and some space, and password is password, right? So I'm just going to save it, and now if I try to run this, we're getting some error here. I don't know what is that. Oops, I just left a plus symbol over there. All right, and now if I try to execute this, we should see the admin and admin password along with the particular message. Here we go. Navigate to the login page. Login page username is admin, and the password is admin password, which is great. So we can also get the value out from the feature into the step definition as a parameter in here, right? So this is one example of getting the value out from a feature file into our step definition. So we'll also deal with getting the data from feature file into the step definitions in much greater detail in our upcoming videos of this video series. So that's it, guys. Once again, thank you very much for watching this video, and have a great day.